Okay, so now that we've got our player, the player moves left and right. Let's start, or let's get that artwork moving. So let's recognize when the platform is moving. And to do this, let's create a player box and create another state. And this state is going to be called state. Or it's not another state, another instance variable. And this instance variable is called state. Or anim state, I should say. Anim state. And initial value is going to be idle, IDLE. Oops, I put those in quotes. I actually shouldn't have put that in quotes. I'm going to delete those. There you go, much better. So now that we have the state idle recording, we can create an animation listener to make sure that we're doing the correct animation at the correct time. So right now it's at idle, and then we want to add a event to player, and we're going to say player box compare instance variable anim state is equal to idle, IDLE, and add action player animation set animation to idle. Now, why am I doing this instead of just say in here, just saying like when things are just set it directly, right? Like press the right button and then set the animation to idle. Well, we don't really want to do that because what happens if you're moving to the right and jumping? What should happen? This is kind of our way of helping bug fix, but also it allows us to later on throw all these same code at our little Mario character when we change the artwork, and it just works much, much better. You don't have to do as much extra coding. So anim state is idle, and then I'm just going to copy paste, and instead of anim to idle, let's say anim is walk, right? Because that's the first one we're going to get done, walk. And we've got our player set animation to walk, and these words, make sure that they're the exact same. Capitalization matters. Make sure that they're the exact same as the words that are here in the animation window. Animation, set to idle, set to walk. Now, we also need to tell anim state when it is walking and when it isn't walking. To do that, we're going to add another event. This is, again, to player box. And when we added the behavior of player platform control, we gained access to all this code. So if you don't see this code here, it's because you're not using an object that has a platforming behavior on it. But we're going to say, we're going to detect when the character is moving and add an action. We're going to say player box set value of anim state to walk. So when the character is moving, make the anim state set to walk. And we're going to add another. So this will happen, and let's press play. Now I'm walking all the time, which is not exactly what we want. But at least I'm walking, and I'm animating, and I'm mirroring. So we need to get that idle back. So idle happens when I let go of the keyboard. It also happens when I stop moving. So we're going to try that. Now, how do I say platform isn't, or the character isn't moving? Because if we add player box event, right, we go down here, compare speed, double jump, is jumping, is on floor, is by wall, is following, is moving. None of these are negative words, right? So we actually are going to say platform is moving, and we're going to right click on it, and we're going to click this invert box. This invert and it makes a little red X next to it, means the player box is not moving. And now that we have that, we can tell player box to be in the correct state. Set value, anim state, and that would be idle. All right, so let's just press play. There you go. When I'm standing on the ground, walking, it moves, and then I move like this, left and right, and stop. All right, cool. So now we've got that. That's starting to look like a character, starting to look like a game. Not yet there, but at least we're much closer. Let's do the jump as well, just so that we get a little bit more practice in here. Player box. Is move, or actually before we do that, let's say let's check out this. Platform is moving. We're gonna add one more condition here. So in order, sometimes we want to do two things. So let's right click. You've got to right click right here, this little square. Right click, add another condition, and this condition is going to be player box is on floor. So this says now if the player box is moving and it's on the floor, then set it to walk. And the reason for that is because I'm going to copy paste. Then I'm going to invert this one. This one says platform is moving and platform is not on floor. Set anim state to jump. So when you're not on the floor walking around, the jump will be the animation you've got. So let's press play. Walking normally, jump, jump, jump. And it's actually a little hard to see the jump. And let's double click, make sure. And I'm gonna just put a little pink in. I always do this if I want to know whether or not my animation is working. There'll be a flower. Doesn't seem like my my jump is working right now. That's no good. Oh, you know why? I didn't create a listener. So I actually have to listen for the computer to tell me that it's jumping, and then I have to handle it and do something. So this is anim state equals jump. There it was. Look at that. Cool. So I'll just leave that pink stuff in there now. It doesn't really matter. It's just for testing purposes anyway. All right, now we've got ourselves a character. It's starting to do stuff. This is very exciting. I love this part. Let's get ourselves a bad guy, right? Because let's do the first bad guy being the death jump, right? Maybe we're gonna have like this big death pit. So how do we figure this out? What we're gonna do is we're gonna insert a new object, and this is also gonna be a sprite. And we're gonna click right here, and we're gonna make this magenta. This magenta is going to be, I like to use for death pits, I use the line tool, and I like to actually draw out some lines. I'm just holding down shift, and that allows me to draw completely horizontal or vertical lines. So if you do this and then hold shift, it'll get you at the angles that, like, it'll get you at a couple different angles opposed to like freeform. And then I'm just gonna put a big X on it. And this is because it's not gonna be visible later. And we're gonna press close, and we're just gonna move this kind of at the bottom of the screen. And I'm gonna make it big enough so that, ooh, I forgot to change the origin point. I'm gonna do that too. Origin point needs to be at top left. All right. And now let's put that, let's make that pit. And oh, it's called sprite, so we definitely wanna call this death pit, like any good object. Oops. And we, right now, don't have any behavior on it, so the player, when it jumps in, isn't going to do anything. But it actually brings me to a good point. See this artwork, right? Now we've got artwork, and it's behind the player. That's kind of ugly and gross. So we're going to hide the artwork by selecting the player box and scrolling down to the left-hand side and hitting initial visibility or initially visible and uncheck it. Now when we press play, that artwork will be gone. It's still there, we just can't see it. And we're going to do the same thing for this, initially invisible, if you want. Now, let's go to our event sheet. So now when we press play, it's gone. Now, it's still there. Let's go to our event sheet. And we're not going to add this into the player folder. That would be bad. We're just going to add this at the bottom event, where the add event is. And we're going to select Death Pit, player box. And we're going to say when the player box is on collision with another object. On collision with another object. And this object's going to be Death Pit. So when the player box collides with Death Pit, actually I guess this is in the player section, so we'll drag that up in there. When player box collides with Death Pit, do something. And this time we are going to say player box set value anim state to death. Oh, not to Death Pit, just to death. Because we want the player to die. We also want to take away player control. So player box, we're going to go down to platform, and we're going to say simulate control. Oh, not simulate control, excuse me. Set enabled to disabled. And what's going to happen now is the controls are going to stop, and the anim's going to set to death. We're going to put a listener to make sure that that death animation plays. Death. And we're going to hit play. So now when I jump in here, hopefully I die. Boop. Not quite. Not quite what I wanted. So it was set platform disabled. Oh, excuse me. It was set controls enabled. Disabled is probably what it was. So set ignoring input. That's the one I wanted. Ignore input. There you go. That's what I wanted. I didn't want the platforming thing. Excuse me. So animation set to death. Set to death. Layout. Well, let's go double check, make sure that death animation's playing the way it's supposed to. And speed is 0. It does not loop. All right. Press play. Let's jump into that pit one more time. Good. You fell through and died. Now we didn't get to see the animation, so we're also going to. I'm just going to freeze, just like in Mario, when you die, you kind of freeze in the same spot. So we're going to turn off gravity and then play that animation. So add action, player box. I can't find set gravity, so I'm just going to type in gravity. Set gravity to 0. Now press play. We're going to see that 4-frame animation when we die. Oh, that didn't work at all. Let's try this. That's weird. Oh, I see. The reason is because right now the character is moving, but is not on floor, so it's setting anim state to jump. So I'm actually having some issue with the code here. So what I'm going to do is add a Boolean value. I'm going to go to player box, and I'm going to add another instance variable. I'm going to add new instance variable. This one's going to be called is dead. Now, Boolean. Now, one of the things to note is that in Construct 3, most of the things, when you add an instance variable, like a Boolean instance variable, they already add the is stuff to it. This is my standard so that I know when things are flags, and it's just my, just from my standard. So I write is when I'm talking about variables or flags, even though it's adding it again. You'll see that in a second. So is dead, is initial value is false, which is unchecked. Checked is true, or 1. So it's false. You're not dead yet. I'm not dead yet. And we're going to add some behaviors, or not behaviors, excuse me, events, and we are going to add it to the character. So right now we've got platform is moving, platform is on floor. We are going to add an extra caveat to these, add another condition. This condition is going to be player box is Boolean instance variable set is dead. So is the player dead? And that's where it is dead. So player box is dead. So if that's true, then, or if that's true, which we want to do down here on the collision pit, if the player is dead, then do all this stuff. If the player is not dead, do this other stuff and invert it. All right, almost there. So is dead is false on these two. Player box on collision with death pit. Player box is dead. We also have to then set is dead on collision with death pit and move this out of here. So we're going to add a sub event this time. Add or excuse me, actually we don't even need the is dead stuff. Because when you you're obviously colliding with it. So for this stuff on collision with death pit, you don't need any of that, or you don't need that flag. You just need it when it's over here. We're gonna add action though. Player box. We're gonna set that flag to true. So set Boolean is dead to true. That way, when it's true, this stuff won't happen, which is at the beginning of this. So that's hopefully gonna fix that bug. Walking back and forth, jumping up and down. Here's my little pink flower for the jump part. Let's touch this. Oh, there you go. And the animation kind of played too. Let's set anim death, set player box gravity. All right, cool. So that worked a little bit more. Let us do one more thing. We don't have anything that happens yet. Add another event. When player, and this is player, right? When is on any finished, excuse me, on finished, animation on finished, death. So when the animation death is done, let's just restart the level. System, add action system, restart layout. Do restart. I'm just gonna restart layout. So on animation, blah, restart the layout. So let's press play now, see if that works. Yeah, there we go. Now our character pops over. Woo, that's pretty cool. So now we've got a little bit of a death pit. That's nice. Let's start in on an enemy. Let's save too, and saving is always great. So we've got this death pit. I'm going to make myself a little bit of a floor. For this stuff, I don't mind resizing it whatever I want. So I'm just going to make a little pit here, and I'm going to grab some artwork, rearrange it real fast, and let's see. Let's set these to 11. Oh, not 11. 3? I can't remember. I'm just going to scroll through them. I'm looking for like the center castle mid, but filled. There it is. And just because I'm, to being nice here, let's make this actually the left-hand side one. See, now there's a rounded. That's how you use these, by the way. The rounded ones are on the edges. So now we've got that. Let us make a bad guy, right? So in Mario, we've got these little characters. They're called Goombas. Instead of Goombas, we are going to create ourselves a slime character. Slime characters are the ones that Kenny's art assets have. So we're going to insert a new object, and we're going to insert a sprite. We're going to call this sprite slime. And we're just going to click anywhere. Or again, origin point's going to be at the bottom, but we're not going to do that. We're going to import the frames first. So right-click import frames from files. And not in the base pack, but in the enemies, we've got slime. Look at that. Slime dead, slime walk 1. So let's grab this, or slime walk 2. Let's see. Let's grab slime walk 1 at first. And this one's going to be idle. And most of the time, we're actually not going to use the idle animation because the slimes are something that move on. But I always put idle animations in just as default, just so that if my code gets messed up or something like that, it'll hopefully work doing something. And we're going to add more animations. We're going to add walk. And remember, case sensitivity matters. And we're going to rename this one death. And if you notice, the animations are identical to the names of my other animations. Naming conventions can be really important and valuable to you, and this will help you later on. Now, our walk, our loop, we want it to loop. Idle, we want it to loop. And we don't have anything in here. Let's add some import frames from files to the walk cycle. Slime1 walk, slime1 walk. Let's grab these two. Delete that. Now we've got, it's kind of hard to see. There you go. He's moving around a little bit. And death. Let's import frames from files. Slime dead. All right. That origin point's still bugging me. So one of the things you might notice, check this out. So this frame is this size, but the death frame is half the size, right? And this is in the middle. But it does not matter. So size 50 by 28, which means it's 25 by 28 is direct center. Origin point, right click on it on the left-hand side, apply to all animations. And now every single one of them, even the death one, it's appropriate. It's because it goes to the percentage of the bounding box, which is really helpful. All right, save. All right, now that we have a slime, the origin point makes it easy for us to snap this slime right here. If we press play, the slime's not going to do anything yet. It's got no behavior at all, not even animation. It just looks grumpy. So let's add behavior. Let's add new behavior to the slime. This one is also platform behavior. Now, here's something really important. See this default controls checkbox? If it is checked, the keyboard will control the character. If it is unchecked, the computer can control the character and still use all the stuff platforming does and benefits from. So if I press play now, just to show you, if I press right and left, this slime is going to move in conjunction with this character. Up, up. So we don't want that. So we're going to uncheck default controls and then try that one more time. Up, up. There we go. Now the slime doesn't move. This is very important for us to deal with. So now that we have the slime not moving, which is good, we want to get it to move again. So we're going to add a new group. This group is going to be, it's going to be called slime. And it's active on start. And one more thing, our slime. Now we could create a player box for the slime and do all that kind of stuff. I'm gonna be a little bit lazy, and we're just gonna create a new instance called AnimState. And we're going to add this onto the slime, and it's going to be a string. And its initial value is going to be idle. Or no, excuse me, walk. Initial value is going to be walk because we want the character walking immediately. Now that the slime has that, add an event to our slime group. And this is slime. Compare instance variable. Remember that anim state? This is how we can make it really easy too, right? The same thing. You just tell this one box what you want this thing to be at, and it will be at it. So anim state is walk. So when anim state is equal to walk, add action slime, simulate control, and control left. And actually, instead of walk, we're going to do walk. Yeah, we're gonna do. Never mind. All right. Yeah, we're gonna say walk left. Excuse me. So it's not, and it's anim state walk left. And we're going to change that walk to walk left. So the default anim state of slime is walk left. Now we're going to duplicate this and change it up for the right-hand way. Walk right. And simulate control pressing to the right. Now what this does is when the state is this way, it goes left. When it goes right, it goes right. Now this only happens instantly. It only happens when this is true. So this could, if it's just like a check, it'll only happen once. But if we press play, our slime will run right off the edge, which is good. That means it's moving, right? We didn't tell it to stop. We just told it to go. Now we need to tell it to stop. Let's hit save. I haven't done that for a minute. All right, now that we've got our character walking, we have to create some sort of command system. And this is how I did it in Madagascar Operation Penguin, is we just create little sprites. And this one is going to be called, this one's going to have some of my beautiful game artwork. Oops, magenta is 255 by 0 by 255. And it's just going to be arrow. So this one, and it doesn't matter the size or anything of that nature. We're going to hit close. We're going to resize it using this. And I'm just going to place it right here. Ooh, one thing that doesn't matter is the origin point. It's at the center right now. I prefer it to be on the top left for this one. There we go. So, and I'm going to place it so that it is flush with the ground, or I'm going to size it so that it's flush with the ground, but also one tile over the edge, at least. Okay. So the reason for this is that so it doesn't fall off. This is going to, right now is called sprite, but what we want it to be called is go right. And now I'm going to make another one called go left. And instead, right now I've got go right. I'm going to right click and, or not right click. Yeah, right click and hit clone. Now I have go right 2. I'm going to rename this go left. Now, if you notice, these are still artwork the same, but now they are different objects. So this one's called go left. This one's called go right. So I'm going to open up this artwork and just reverse it or mirror it. This one. And now the artwork is mirrored. Don't use the scaling things. Use the artwork, and that way you'll see it in the artwork up here. Go left is going left, and again, move it around. You can resize it to here. There we go. Now we have got these 2 arrows. I'm going to leave them on now, but they'll be invisible later. And the slime is going to bounce between these. So what we need is a slime with an add event. Slime on collision with another object. And that collision is go right. We want to add action, slime, set state, or sorry, set value to anim state. Go, and this one would be walk right. And I use, for animations, I use lowercase initial word and then second uppercase. Just FYI. So slime, go right. Let's duplicate this for the other direction. Slime on collision with another object. Go left. Add action, or slime, set value, anim state is walk left. All right, so now it should bounce in between. Look at that. That's pretty cool. So it still doesn't do everything, right? It doesn't mirror itself. So why don't we just set that up here? I don't mind. I think that should be fine in here. The slime set mirrored to mirrored. And this is another thing about Kenny's art assets that is a little bit odd, that is just a thing to notice. In Kenny's art assets, let's go here. All of our players face to the right. Kenny chose to have all his enemies face to the left. That's a thing. Usually I have all my stuff, everything, no matter what, face to the right. It's just a thing. But just something to be aware of, and also maybe not do in the future. If you guys are doing artwork from scratch, I'm sure he had a reason for it. That's not my standard. So please make all your characters face to the right in any assignments that you're doing. All right, slime, go left, slime, go right, and then walk left. All right, set mirror. Oh, this one of these needs to be unmirrored. So this one is unmirrored. So again, every time we do something, we look. Oh, look at that bounce back and forth. How nice. Very nice. So now we've have come to the next part, right? Let's go over there and interact with it. Right? It's an enemy, so it should hurt us or do something. Or I should be able to hurt it. Right now, nothing happens. We're buddies. Just me and my slime. Excuse me. So what we want to do is we want to be able to affect the player when the player touches the slime and take away health, all that kind of junk. So first thing, we're off. Let us create a behavior. Let's select the player. If we go to layout and select player, we can add a behavior. And now this doesn't have any behaviors yet. And this behavior is going to be called flash. And the behavior of flash, where is it? Now we've got our flash behavior down here, right here. And what we're going to do, this is going to allow us to blink the character when we want to. So add a, in our player section, because I like to go from the thing that is affecting the other thing. Add event to player, player box, on collision with another object, slime, add action, player, and now that we put flash behavior in, we have this flash command, and on off time 0.1, duration 1. This is fine. Just be careful. Don't over flash stuff. There is something called epilepsy. It is a real thing. It happens when the screen flashes specifically, but any sort of flashing thing, you just want to be careful. Most systems and things do take some things into consideration for protecting users against creating epileptic issues. But just, don't mess around with super fast flashing. I forget what the standard rule is, but most of the time you're fine. It's just some certain very specific instances of high frequency, a lot of flashing. This is totally fine. No one's going to get hurt here. But I just want to be careful. If you guys go experimenting, just be careful with going too nuts and then showing them to just your friends without warning them. Anyway, so if we hit play, anytime I collide with the slime, pew, 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 there it goes. Pew, 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 and it stops. This is great. So now that we have this, nothing else happens, right? But we need to figure out a couple things. One thing is that we need the player to have some health or something, right? So since this is a Mario clone, we're going to have, I'm not going to create Actually, excuse me. I'm not going to create the little Mario right now, but I am going to create like 1 hit point, and then later on, your assignment will be to take that 1 hit point and turn it into a full-fledged little Mario character. But we are going to create ourselves our hit points, and I'm going to add a global variable. So to do that, I'm going to just right-click on the light gray area in the event sheet and add global variable. And this variable is going to be called player HP. Now, the player HP is 0 for death, 1 for little, 2 for big, and there are some times when the player might have 3 hit points, right? That might be when they have a special ability or something, so you might mess with this later, like a fireball or Tanuki or whatever if it's in the later games. So our initial value is 2 because that is Big Mario. 0 is dead, 1 is Little Mario. So press OK. And I want to display this on the screen. I will do that later on with score. So we've got player hit points. Now that we have that, we can take away 1 hit point. So on collision with slime, player flash, add action, system, subtract from player HP value 1. So what this says is whatever the value of player HP is now, subtract 1 from it. And now we have a very easy way to control for death on other things too. So instead of, so we're going to add another event to the player. And this player box event is going to be player box, or excuse me, not player box, add event system, compare variable, global variable, player HP is equal to 0. We're going to do all that death stuff again. So I'm just going to see all this on collision with death pit, set death to true, anim state, platform gravity, all that kind of stuff. This is the same. So I don't want to copy paste it, but I do want to select it, drag it in here, and now I'm going to use player HP to drive my death event. So player box on collision with death pit, add action, system, set value of global variable, player box to 0, because you definitely kill the player every time. So set player HP to 0, do that. So really easy way to kind of set up all that. Let's hit play, just make sure that still works. It's always good when you're messing with code to make sure everything else. Yep, the player death. Oh, hey, look at that, I already broke something. So the animation keeps repeating itself, and it looks like I still have the character, but it just reset. So the reason for that is because global variables have to be reset back to its original position when a layout is reset. Or sometimes special cases have to be dealt with. So at the beginning, a system, we're going to add another system command. This one's going to be at the top. Insert above, system, and then it's on the bottom here. On start of layout, add action, system, set value, player HP to 2. So this just says when the game starts, or when the layout starts, or resets, set the value of player health to 2. Good thing I checked, otherwise I would have ran into a bug later on, not noticed. There we go. That's all fixed now. Saving my work. Oh, whoops. Gotta save my work. All right, we're all good. So your slime walks left and right. It will attack the player, or it will do stuff to the player. System on player 1 health, on player HP equals 0. On collision with slime, subtract 1 from player health. Flash. And here's another thing. so we now know that player HP, we die, right? So we're gonna press play. Let's walk up. The thing you're gonna notice is I'm gonna try to collide with it twice really fast, and you're gonna be able to do that. And you don't want that. That's not how Mario works. Collide once, collide twice. Now you're dead. Here, it's actually, haha, that's funny. See how it's colliding over and over again? It's actually bugged out, and it won't let me quit the game. This is known as a soft lock. Because it keeps hitting the player over and over again. It doesn't allow it to finish the anim state to death. So we just need to handle all of that and make sure that everything works. So the other thing we're going to do here, set death to true. And I'm just going to say is dead true over here. Excuse me, add another condition on 17, add another condition. On collision with slime, player box, compare is instant boolean set, is dead. So is dead is false. Again, so if it's false, do that, set is death to true. So that'll handle that, but we want to do one other thing. Not only is it dead, but sometimes you're invincible, right? You're going from 2 to 1, and you want to stay invincible. So we're going to go to player box, and we're going to add another instance variable, and say is invincible, and this string is a Boolean value, and it's set to false. Actually, I'm going to replace the player's is dead to is invincible. It handles both. So instead, instance variable is dead is invincible. If that is not true, then do this. Then we're going to set invincibility to true. So player box, down in event 18. Player box, set value, anim state, not anim state, excuse me, not value, set Boolean. These are different. Can distract you sometimes. Is dead to, or is invincible to true. And then we're actually going to set invincibility here as well. So player box, set invincible to true, subtract this. The reason for that is that then we're going to turn it off after a couple seconds. So this says off for 1 second, okay? I am going to add an action. We're going to do something a little bit more advanced just to show you. I'm going to add an action here, and this time I'm going to say system wait. Now this is a very powerful command, be careful with it, but system wait 1 second. Now see how it says wait 1 second, wait 1 second. Set invincible to false. So the way video games work, all software works, is that programs work from top to bottom. So this happens, then this happens, then this happens. Even if it's just a nanosecond difference, this is the order of operations. So when it hits wait, it'll stop, and then it'll do everything else after it, after you've waited for the amount of time. So let's do something a little bit fancy. Let's say that we want to make this be the exact same no matter what, and we want to change it. So let's go to our player box, and I'm going to add an instance variable, and I'm going to add a number this time. And this number is going to be called flash wait. And initial value is going to be 1.2, just so that we have slight difference. Now, let's open up our flash command. And the duration, instead of 1, we're going to go find the player box. So we're going to type in player box, and you'll see the artwork and the objects and stuff here. I'm going to double click this. Now, any sort of object like that, if I hit period, all of the data that this object has is inside of this period thing. So what you want to do is you can find all of the things. Look, there's anim state. There's a facing. There's flash weight. Here's height, so like the height of the object. So here's flash weight. Let's do flash weight. So playerbox.flashWeight. So what this is saying is, take the number 1.2 and put it in this box. But if we change this number 1.2, this code will still work, but now it'll be different. So flash wait seconds. Now let's also do that for the system wait command so that it'll be the same thing every time. Playerbox.flashWait. Hit done. All right, so now it'll wait exactly the same time. Just a little note, but it's very useful to do. So, and then we're gonna say set invincible to false at the end of it. So let's hit that. Hopefully we don't get stuck in that endless loop. There we go. I died the second time, but like I wasn't on top. So that gives you a second or so. There we go. Now we have a character. It can hurt and kill us. That's great. But, you know, we really need to also make sure that we can hurt or kill it, right? Any good Mario game has a jumping on the head mechanic. And that's going to be, you know, our nice one. So our jumping on the head mechanic we'll do next.